You are listening to the Joe Mars Podcast, a podcast inspired by musical creatives from and within Zimbabwe, Africa, and the world who are making an impact and pursuing their passions. My name is Joseph Maramba, and I'm a radio host best known for shows on Capital FM, Power FM, and Sport FM radio. And I'm sitting down with creatives to learn more on their story and how they are making an impact with every single production. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Joe Mars Podcast. My name is Joe from the Mars family. How are you doing? I hope I find you well. And of course, this is the second episode of the third season of the Joe Mars Podcast. 32, if I'm not mistaken, episodes have gone so far. So if you want to catch all of that excitement, interviews, and great productions that we had in the first two seasons of the episode, please follow me on my YouTube channel, and that is Joseph T. Maramba or the Joe Mars Podcast. Okay, if you search any of those, you're gonna find me, and then you'll find podcasts there, episodes and seasons as well. All right. Last week when we started off on a somber note of some sort because we were reeling from the sudden death of Gary Mapanzure, and of course we had to pay tribute to the man. We had to talk about him, and we had on the conversation a lady called Samantha Sibanda, Dr. Samantha Sibanda, all the way from China, and who was telling us how she sort of gave Gary his very first international performances. And that was actually quite interesting to note that, you know what, the guy didn't only have a huge following in Zimbabwe, where he's from, but also internationally, where he was doing his studies. So we had a mixed responses, in fact, a couple of responses about that podcast, you know, and obviously there was something to the effect that I posted out there, which was, you know, Zim artists awanakubatana, you know. So there were a couple of responses about that. Nyarai John 811 on my TikTok was actually saying, "Hava vedu kutaura chokwadi vakabaiza. I'm sure kwamuri mukutozvinyarira," you know. Wenyasha 59 also on my TikTok said, vanotarisa mafesi vanhu ava," meaning that, you know what, they look at who you are, they look at, you know, the face or the person or who you are linked with, you know, etc., and then that sort of gives them the energy to say, oh, tofana gwenda, and we must go in full force, right? Another one from Tan Bay, also from TikTok, say, ivo vachitadza kubatsira munhu ari mupenyu kusumudzira basa rake vozoenda kufuhere hutsinye artist emuZimbabwe, right? So thank you so much, guys, for those responses. I am truly grateful for that. Keep them coming. If you've got anything to say, if you've got any issues that you'd love for me to actually follow through, you know, if you've got a tip, if you've got something that you'd want us to talk about on the podcast, please come through in any of my social media. You can find me on TikTok, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on WhatsApp, you can find me on Facebook. Also, this podcast is available on Spotify. So if you've got a Spotify account, you can listen to it, or you can also watch the podcast. Okay, so that's how brilliantly we have it set up for this year and for this season. So thank you so much for this. Okay, and as we get into this week's podcast, we're starting off on some news as well. You know, I don't know if this is good news or bad news, but it's got a bit of both, right? And this is something that I'm particularly tuned into, or my radar almost catches this news as and when it happens. And, you know, because I am a broadcasting child, a Zimbabwean broadcasting child, and a lot of the things that happen within the broadcast fraternity is something that I am well invested in. You know, I don't have any shares whatsoever, but it's just something, you know, nice to always keep tabs on, because this is where I started from. This is where my career actually started from, right? So powerfm Radio actually has a new manager. Hazine Sakarombe has taken over after DJ Scott resigned
after a sex scandal. Okay. So I know both DJs. I worked with DJ Scott. I worked with DJ Chili. So Zim Live actually reported that ZBC Sources are saying there's a complaint of sexual harassment that was made against Matenga Mbiri, right? The radio personality allegedly pestered a young female employee for oral sex in return for offering her a job. Okay. Sad news. I certainly hope that Scott is okay, and with plenty of time on his hands now, he can finally get it from someone who's not his employee. Come on now. Anyway, me and Hashi come from way back. All right, it's been a journey for her, and I'm happy for Samanyiga kuti ndimona ari position, because it's not been the best of journeys. If you want me to tell you the story about Hajine Sakarambe at one time, guys, just ask me nicely. I'll tell you. There were very, very, very bad times when we were radio DJs in powerfm in Gweru. Chigara panonzipa South, Southland, South something, that's where we used to stay. And tese taikwira muchirori chimwe chinenge chitraki, so tichienda kubasa tiri kupano. Of course, maybe sometimes when there is space you'd let us sit in front and stuff like that, but it was hectic. And during those days you'd basically earn money that would not push you all the way to the end of the month. Okay, waingoti yawaongowana waipapo njo yawawana, and chawawana chekuti utenge papo, whether ihufu or ikretire mazai or whatever it is, it was really, really bad until I decided to leave. But anyway, she stayed on and she continued, and she's been through thick and thin for this radio station. So I wish Hashi all the way. She's a tough one, that one. She's a tough nut to crack, and she's going to be, she's stern, she's steady. I just hope for the benefit of radio, she can make some wise and very intelligent decisions. I know when the higher you go up in these rankings in such stations and in such a state-owned media organizations, the easier it is again to fall. But I think changing that leadership style from a man's perspective to a female's perspective might be what the station actually really needs. We've got examples like as in at Capital FM as well. There is a female leadership there, Nyaradza Makombe, and I think also Power FM also had before DJ Scott. So yeah, all the best, and I do hope that Power FM will get back to its glorious days. All the best on that one. BabaHarare launched something brand new over the weekend as well. Prove them wrong. Reports say that Ja Preza was supposed to attend the show. He was billed to perform, but he didn't show up, allegedly, or unconfirmed, or rumor has it. We don't know. But it went well for BabaHarare. His real name is Braveman Chizino. And I mean, from the name itself, Braveman Chizino, just goes to show you that he is very, very brave. He is putting himself out there in contention and in competition with some of the big artists in Zimbabwe. If you talk of Ja Preza, if you talk of Abu Winkidi, if you talk of Abu, who's this one? Tami Moyo. If you talk of the same dancehall artists that are out there, BabaHarare and his jit, he has made it fashionable, right? And I thought I was the only one who actually saw how brilliant and how, if it's not him, it's his management. So I actually thought it was the only one, but turns out there are a lot of people that are actually seeing how intelligent and how brave man actually is. Okay, so my good friend Trevor Mawaka, a journalist based out of Bulawayo, had a few things to say about BabaHarare on his post on social media, which I basically agree, and I thought I would bring him to talk more about Braveman. And here's what he had to say before Trevor actually gets on the line with me. He says, I'm not a big fan of jit music, but BabaHarare is fast forcing his way into the big three. He ticked most boxes right with Prove Them Wrong. I want to find out what this big three is. Which big three is he talking about? And he ticked a couple of things here. Sticking to your sound. He might tweak it a little and there, a little here and there, but BabaHarare is for JIT music. It doesn't move far from it and it has paid dividends. Okay. Another tick he made was choosing the right collabos. Well, who saw the Papa Penny collabos coming? Even the Volts JT collabo, I didn't, but check the impact. All right. Another thing he also mentioned was encroaching into the regional market. With Papa Penny and Zhigure on the Donkey song, I believe slowly he's touching base with South Africa and Malawi. Okay, another tick was experimenting with new sounds. He says he even dabbled in Sungura, which is nice. And he's been doing it right for some time now, which is also his social media presence on the live music scene. In fact, BabaHarare, he says, could even be slowly challenging for the musical Zim 1 position. He is working, like I said, and this is according to Trevor Mawaka. He's not a big JIT music fan, but it seems from this post he's slowly being converted. So I want to have that conversation with him and find out all about what he thinks. And obviously, I would like to hear your comments and thoughts as well about BabaHarare. You want to hear mine? I certainly think that he's got a very stern management team behind him. If it's not him, it's his management, and they really understand what he's all about. Like every time when I see BabaHarare, and I stand to be corrected, he is absolutely killing it. Like his image says GT, right? His dance, his music, his stunts, everything that he's bringing out there. BabaHarare, and going beyond Harare. So we'll be talking to Trevor Mawaka about that. So man, I saw your post on BabaHarare and I thought maybe I would give you a call and find out exactly what and pick your brains on some of the things that you spoke about BabaHarare. First and foremost, just give me like a small little brief background, about what you think about the man, and his music.
All right. I think from my post, I made it clear I'm not a big fan of his genre. I'm not really into that genre. But what I do is I generally observe artists and look at the trends, look at the growth. So when I looked at BabaHarare, maybe if you look on the post, I made certain observations. If you check from Heti Zemrara, when he started out as a solo artist, and you look at the sound that she's still creating today, there is a certain deliberate decision to stick to the sound that he knows and the sound that fans have identified with him. From my point of view, that is a tick. That is something important. I've seen artists make a quick decision to change genres or to experiment with other genres, and then along the way they've lost fans. Mm-hmm. But with BabaHarare, there is this deliberate effort to say, my fans love GT, and I'm going to stick with that. There is also a big advantage when it comes to BabaHarare, being that there is now practically little or no competition genre-wise, because maybe except if you are considering a single that Enzo made, that was also GT, but no other artist is really making GT music as his or her mainstay. So that keeps him safe. If you look at other genres, Zim dance, so the competition is stiff. There'll be a lot of artists that are gunning for your head. You look at hip hop, you look at Sungura, but with BabaHarare, you say GT, and if you are Zimbabwean, the first picture that comes into your head is that of BabaHarare. So it's one of the things that I noticed. He has stuck to the genre that he knows, and along the way, I believe he has grown big as an artist.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, when you are an artist, which is something really, really good. It's important to stick to your guns, Because sometimes when you start today and you say, okay, let me start on GT, and then GT obviously when everything starts, it doesn't start as big as Japreza or as big as Oliver Mtukudzi. It starts from somewhere. So I was actually thinking out loud to say, could it be that he has a really good team of a really good team around him, or my managers that really know how to present him to the world out there? Because every time I sort of see him anyway, he's always on point.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm not privy to his camp. The closest I was to him was at his launch here in Blawa, but never got a chance to talk to him. But what I appreciate is the way he seems to be managed. Even when you go to his socials, everything is well curated, from even dressing. It's a deliberate. There is this deliberate effort to be artistic and entertaining. If you go to his socials, it's a deliberate effort that he is artistic and entertaining, and I believe it's a team effort. I would love to believe that. If he's doing it on himself, then he's a genius, because everything is on point. Everything is on point. Even the launch. Even how he rolls out his music, he seems to be ticking all the right boxes. And from the post that I made, if really we are to be fair and we say the big five in Zim, BabaHarare is now part of that, and definitely closing in on the big three. And who knows? Very soon you might be one of those artists who talk about the way we talk about Japrez and Winky D, like at the tipsy top.
Yeah. So you went to his launch in Bulawayo. How was it?
It was nice. It was fire. The reaction from the crowd was on point. The energy, everything. Even the supporting acts that were there, they really brought their A game. And with BabaHarare, you know the dances and everything.
Yeah.
He always serves the crowd what they want.
Man, it's something to have an album and to launch an album, but to launch it in two cities, like to say let's start off with Harare and then go to Bulawayo. Like you have to really, you have to be strong. One, financially. Two, musically. These two crowds are not the same. Harare and Bulawayo, they are not the same. Let's face it.
Yeah. They are not the same. They are not the same. And maybe I think of late Japreza did it recently. There were two different albums. Those ones launched on the same, launched like a day apart.
Okay.
But basically, I believe now the biggest music fans, your crowds, if they're in these two cities, so you have to serve them. And it's the other thing that I've been saying again. It shows. You look, Japreza did it. Winky D usually, he has these big shows in Harare and Bulawayo, and BabaHarare is following in the same line. When it comes to our male artists in Zimbabwe, he's taking a big claim, and he has grown. He has grown as an artist. I believe he has really grown from when he started out. Even when you listen to this album, you look at the collaborations and everything else. They serve different crowds, like you have been saying. Bulawayo loved Bam Bam big time, maybe because of Penny or what. So, he is sure of what he's doing.
Yeah. He seems to have he has an idea of what he's doing. I think there was a video as well that was shot in Bulawayo, if I'm not mistaken, and he had a couple of dancers from Bulawayo. I don't remember if my memory serves me correct, if I'm sure about that. But anyway,
the guys who were doing it, it's Afri-Art. I saw it online.
Yes.
I saw it's from. Which song is that one? But yeah, he shot a video in Bulawayo. It's this group of guys who is in Bulawayo. They are pretty good. They've done videos number of artists nationally.
Yeah.
Most of these artists, they are now coming over to for the videos. Those guys are good at directing, the props, they really go all out.
Yeah.
All out, they change the whole room, everything to accommodate the concept of the song.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, Zimbabwe is heavily polarized. You know, when you talk of music, there's the Shona listeners, there's Ndebele listeners, there's Ndebele music, and there's Shona music, and then there's what you call it, international music or whatever it is. But to have an artist who is trying, you know, this is just the same way that you know, Ja Praiser and Winky D have appealed to people all across the board is something. And I think he has probably picked it up. If he hasn't picked it up from maybe working with Ja Praiser or the team from Ja Praiser's camp or whatever, or just by just simply watching the socials and you know how these guys are doing it, if it's his own ingenuity, I give him props about that. You mentioned on your post, and you said he can easily be Zim's number one. And you right now, you were just a little bit humble. You you were like top 5, but you know, when you wrote, you were like top 3, and we could easily talk.
Yeah. You know, like basically, when you're communicating, sometimes you put quotes. But when we count, we have Alec Macheso, we have Ja Praiser, we have Winky D.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I believe you would struggle to mention any 2 other artists who now have who have the kind of energy, who have the kind of pull power,
Mm-hmm.
who have the kind of entertainment appeal that BabaHarare has. Even when it comes to dropping albums, how the albums are doing, how the people are appreciating the music, I believe he's pushing it right there. You know, he's pushing it right there. I wouldn't want to mention names and say maybe beyond so and so. But yeah, the honest truth is if he keeps on pressing the way he's pressing, he's ticking the right boxes throughout.
Wow. Thanks, man. Trevor, thanks a lot for coming through. Last but not least, I want to ask you something that I know has been trending for a couple of days. Holly 10 getting married to Kimberly Richards. Kimberly is from Laos, so it's basically like we took what do you call it? Mkhwenyana is the man, right? Umfazi.
Yeah.
Bulawayo.
Yes, Makoti.
Umakoti. Yes, Umakoti. How's that news been received in Bulawayo?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool for them, you know.
Yeah.
Jumping food, let him continue making the music. We love him for his music, his private life.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't manage that, but we love. He's one young artist that has got a good following as well here in Bulawayo. From across the Shangani. Yeah, Holiton, he was like in hip hop at the moment. Yeah, we all know he's now a big brand that appeals to many. And his music, whenever you go out to socialize in the clubs at night or wherever you will be, you definitely get to hear a Holy 10 track. So, well, he's a good artist as well.
All right. Thanks a lot, Trevor Mawaka from Bulawayo, man. Thanks a lot for coming through. And I'll be hitting you up anytime when we need something from you, my man. Just keep that line clear for us.
Okay, it's all right. Thanks, Mr. Maramba.
Yeah.
Let's keep talking about music.
All right, man. Have a great one. My good pal there from Bulawayo days. Oh, man. Bulawayo was like, if you ask me of a city that I would love to really go and relocate and just stay, Bulawayo is number 1. And of course, there's the Vumba and Chimanimani areas there. That for me would be just the place. I think I should just get a piece of land that side to just end it all. I should, yeah. Not two ways about it. So last week we touched on artist unity, right? We touched on how artists have failed to be united, especially under the situation that we found ourselves with Gerima Panzure. And before I even spoke further about that, I soon started to see one or two things that were happening, and all in the support of artists, whether they are going through tough times or whether they are going through ailing times. Hey, babe. Right. And particularly a post that I found online from DJ Everjoy as I was scrolling through my timeline. Do you know who sang that song? I think you do. You know your music. But anyway, it was all in support of Bob Nyabinde. All right. So I like this got to me. You know, when you're far away, sometimes you get too detached from the things that you love. But Bob Nyabinde is one of those artists that I've always revered, right? So the post actually spoke about how he last performed in 2019, right? And he's got he suffered some diabetes, which made him lose his eyesight, and then a stroke as well. So he hasn't really performed for quite some time. But in his posts, his own post, Bob Nyabinde says, I haven't really lacked anything. Artists have been coming through and have been helping him. And all people from all walks of life have been on his side. So again, artists were fundraising at Sherwood Golf Club over the weekend. And all for the support of the headmaster. Tarirore Gitare was there, Victor Kunonga, Kireni Zulu, Rutembangwa, and Tangawe Kosando. All of these artists have something in common. Yeah, they play the guitar. And I think that's a very, very, very good thing. So acoustically, they felt like he's part of the family. Let's bring all our guitars together. Let's do something for Bob Nyabinde. And obviously, it has gone to, to be, it was a success. I was trying to get Terrone Guitar on the line, but maybe we'll do that another day when I can get her on the line. But if you feel like the music industry is something that you want to, sometimes when we go to church and we talk about 10% tithe and stuff like that, I know many of us might be religious or are religious. But there is nothing that stops you from saying my 10% Longo Batsira or an ailing artist or something that's happening within the artist community. Because if these people can minister to us, this song and this line, Chabuda Apana, whether it's not in the Bible, but it can actually minister to you, into your heart, your mind, to your soul, right? So if you are one of those people that love music as much as I do, feel free. Feel free to get the details of what's happening to Bob Nyabinde, details to the family of Kerima Panzure, details to whoever might be going through whatever they're going through. And if you feel like they have done something in your life, they've ministered to your life in some way or the other, there is nothing that stops you from just saying, okay, this week or this month or at this time, I just want to, help out. And this is how I'm going to help out. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, and let's keep the love for the music in Zimbabwe going on and on and on and on. Something else that popped and into the news over the past couple of days, Holly 10 got married to Kimberly Richards. Okay, so Anzina Sokostina one time when she was interviewing Kimberly at Star FM. And there's about Chokwadi Erezi, Naimi Kim Oro, there's my numbers. Because obviously your numbers sort of popped up when you started going out and dating Holly 10. Holly 10 was also part of that interview. And so Sina was actually asking, Holly, is this a numbers game or whatever it is? Because we've seen power couples before, And apparently, Holly and Kimberly were there to answer and say, no, man, there is actually true feelings between me and the guy. We share something special. And I'm not dating Holly 10 and data Mukudze and blah, blah, blah. All right. So Kimberly, if you didn't know, is from Blawayo, a model from her school days, and also at UZ, where she started tertiary education. She's also a video vixen. I've watched 1 or 2 videos with her in it. Not too sure what to say about that. But anyway, her real name is Kimberly Chigubu. And when Holly 10 proposed, Anza Ingod, that was her very first days. Anza Ingod, Ndoguda. Kim didn't know what to do about that. But anyway, he sort of figured out the guy was smitten. So, mazwi, ahazobude sekudaroga, I am nonzwa achimba, kana hakutaura. So this interview was held in 2022, which is last year, right? With Sokostina on powerfm. And Sokostina asked Kimberly when she would like to settle down. She mentioned in 3 or 4 years. But it only took a year after that for her to say, oh, okay, you know what? Let's tie down the knot and let's settle down. All right. So all the best to that power couple. Well, yeah, it is a power couple by virtue, just be a power couple. God bless their marriage, and hopefully one of these days we can get to really find out how marriage is doing for them, in the house. Yeah. Okay, let's move into something that I have been really, really wanting to talk about. There is a festival that's happening in South Africa, which is most probably going to catch and capture your imagination of everything that you have wanted. Remember the days when we used to have the Harare International Festival of the Arts? Haifa was the big thing, right? We used to have artists coming from South Africa. We used to have audiences coming from South Africa to catch, brilliant performances at the Harare International Festival of the Arts. Well, because Zim has gone down in everything that you can ever imagine, Haifa is no more. But these guys at Hey Neighbour have literally taken everything, every little bit of detail that you would find at the Harare International Festival of the Arts is exactly what they're going to do. And they are not messing about with their lineup. Right, they are bringing in Kendrick Lamar, they are bringing in her, they have DJ Waffles, they have DJ Zintle, they have Chainsmokers, they have a brilliant lineup of plenty of artists that you can see at a very low price of 1.6. So far, this is the second phase of tickets. When it started, we were selling at 1.4, but now we're going in at 1.6. Here's the reason why I'm saying at a very low price of 1.6. If you are traveling from outside South Africa and you have to convert these monies, you realize that maybe that's about $80 if you're coming from Zimbabwe, which uses US dollars. Am I wrong? It should be $80. And we all know that watching international artists or artists that have come to Zimbabwe over the past couple of months or so, $80 is less. It's very little. I've seen shows, for people that are being charged $40 or $50, and it's just one artist, maybe with a whole lot of upcoming or with a whole lot of those artists that come in before the main event, at $40. Well, it hasn't been very good pricing according to me, but at 1,600 rand you can see a whole host of lineups. I want to give you an example of what's going to happen on the day when Kendrick Lamar is going to be performing. I just want to give you an idea of who else is going to be there. All right? Who else is going to be there? So we're talking of the 8th and the 9th and the 10th of December, right? So let's just go through it. Here's day one. You've got Khalid in there. You've got Chainsmokers. You've got Nasty C. You've got Uncle Waffles. You've got Duckworth. You've got Sauti Sol from Kenya. This is still day one. So you've paid 1,600 to see any of these artists. This is a ticket for the entire festival, right? You've got Tyler. You've got Young Stunner. The Amapiano Stunner guy. Black Motion as well on the DJs. You've got Real Dan Dumini. Okay, I don't know these guys. Good Luck. You've got, and you've got Majosi. And the very first day, TJ Zintle, Tyler ICU. Come on, guys, at 1,600 rand. This is gotta be the cheapest ticket in town when you want to see that lineup. Imagine if you wanted to really look at and to really go through and watch DJ Zintle and maybe Tyler ICU and Black Motion and Nasty C in one weekend, and they are all performing at different events or different locations. You would obviously fork out more than 1,600. So here the festival is just basically saying, come through, chill, and be in a sort of festival mood, move from one place to the other, like Haifa, And then you can watch whoever you want, whichever place whichever tickles your fancy. So from that lineup, you can say, oh, okay, I want to watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these guys have made my day. Guys, this is the cheapest ticket in town. Of course, if you look at it collectively and say, okay, how much is that just that you're paying up front, it might be a little bit expensive. But I'll tell you what, trust me, if you do the math, this is cheap. Okay, so point in case, which is the day that I'm most probably going to be at this festival, is day 2, when the headlining artist and performance is from K-Dot, Kendrick Lamar. There is also other artists like Rema, there's Blackie, there's Shimza, there's Scorpion Kings, there's Focalistic, right? There's Musa Keys, there's Jack Paro, there's Anati, there's Shekinah, there's Zex Wantwini, there's Shoma Josie, Desmond on the Tutus, the Plastics. Oh, this is just too cheap, if you ask me. Very, very, very cheap. Guys, I tell you, if there's ever a festival season ticket that you've got to have, wherever you might be watching this podcast from, if you're from Zambia, if you're from Zimbabwe, if you are from Mozambique, if you're from Botswana, just get yourself 1,600 Rand to get you through the gate and will get you to see all of these artists on any of these given days. Of course, there are prices for the entire festival, which I'm not going to get into. They're slightly more expensive than these ones. But I'm talking of a one-day ticket where you can see all of these artists perform, right? Make it a day that you and your family can just go there and just, enjoy the music from one stage to the other, or from the very same stage, one artist to the other. I feel like this is something that a lot of us should partake in. And it kind of reminds me of those Haifa days. That's the reason why I'm going. Kind of reminds me. I was so hooked on, like, Haifa was a drug to me. But then it ceased to happen, and then here we are. So, okay. The last day, which is Sunday, 10 December, you've got her. You've got Devon Gogo. You've got Major League. You've got Swedish House Mafia, right? You've got Mikasa. You've got Mafiki Zolo. You've got Kelvin Momo. Guys, come on. You've got Elaine. You've got Daliwonga. You've got Aris. You've got Prime Circle. Come on. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. Buy a ticket for 1.6, and you've got it going on a very lovely December. Okay. So if you hadn't noticed, there is this whole thing that's happening with international artists. Just recently, Will Smith was shooting something in the continent. Neo was in Zambia, also at the Stanbic Music Festival. He was performing something out there. Idris Alba was shooting about the gold of Ashanti. Just recently, the continent is being marketed to some extent as the place to be and the place to change perspectives, and I think we need to start looking at it in such a way. I don't know where our marketing and our tourism and our, anything that has to do with marketing Africa loses it. Because this is where we are supposed to say, come on, guys, we can make it happen. We need to do more and more of this. Because if you see big artists like Kendrick Lamar and her and Abonio coming through into these parts of the world, that means we've got something. We've got something that they want. And for them, I think they have performed in each and every venue that's out there in the world. But to come and perform and to still be appreciated in a place probably that they never really thought they would get so much love, that's something big for them. So let's take this opportunity, guys. I'm just urging each and everybody out there who's willing and who can organize these events to bring more and more. And I think before you know it, we can have two of these artists, turning out and actually saying, you know what, I'm living and I'm staying in Africa. That's what we'd love to see. Okay, I would love to hear from you on anything that we've spoken about on the podcast. But please do remember to go through our YouTube and subscribe. You know, people are making careers out of YouTube, so I'd love this career to flourish. Okay, go to YouTube, go to Instagram, go to Twitter, go to Facebook. You will find Joe Mars and the Joe Mars podcast on all of these socials, and make sure that you subscribe and you follow. Also, you can go to Spotify, where you find this podcast as an audio or video, whichever you want. If you use Spotify for your music, you gotta have the Joe Mars podcast as one of your top-notch podcasting shows out there. Until we meet again next week, guys, I love you so much, and keep listening to the music, keep supporting it, and I will see you next time. Bye.
You are listening to the Joe Mars podcast, a podcast inspired by musical creatives from and within Zimbabwe, Africa, and the world, who are making an impact and pursuing their passions. My name is Joseph Maramba, and I'm a radio host best known for shows on Capital FM, Power FM, and Sport FM radio. And I'm sitting down with creatives to learn more on their story and how they are making an impact with every single production.